Welcome back. I am really excited about this video because this is the #1 requested video on the Still in the Clear channel. So over a year ago, I made a video about how to collect wild yeast and use it in your moonshine. And in that video, I casually asked, hey, if you would like to see a video about how I make liquor from everything in the woods, not using any store-bought anything, then let me know in the comments. Well, lots of people commented that they would like to see that video. In fact, more people want to see that video than anything else that I've asked about. So that's what this video is. Now, the reason it has taken me so long to make this video is because I have not had the time to get out into the woods and forage for whatever I could in order to make some liquor. But somebody did bring me a full bucket of wild muscadine. And so, John, if you're watching, I really do appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. So we are going to make some brandy from wild muscadine. And these I put in the freezer so that I could freeze them. And we'll talk about why I did that later. But yeah, let's make some wild muscadine brandy. Come on. Back, and the muscadines are completely thawed out and much softer than they were when they went into the freezer, which is a good thing. We've broken down the cell walls and going to make it easier to release the juice and the sugar to make this mash. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just squish all these. I'm just going to mash these by hand and put them in a bucket and get started that way. I'm also going to pull out seeds. I'm not going to worry about every single seed, but I know that Windsong is going to want seeds to plant all throughout the woods. So I'm going to pull out a bunch of seeds for her, save those, and this is going to take forever because there's 4 gallons of these little grapes. So I'm going to get that done, and then we'll come back for the next step. Well, I got all the muscadines all broken up. I've still got to mush them up a little more. But I wanted to show you something interesting because earlier I had made up a batch of yeast starter with the wild yeast. I'd taken a handful of the grapes to get them started like I did in the previous video about how to capture wild yeast. But before I got finished with all of this, it seems like it has already started. So I wanted to show you something. Hopefully you can see it in the video. If I pull these up and just kind of stir them, you'll see bubbles. Maybe you can hear them even. So the wild yeast on the grapes have already started, which is pretty interesting. I didn't anticipate that happening. At least that's what I think is going on. May not be. But what I'm going to try is to let this set without adding the yeast starter that I made, just to see if it takes off. So we'll see. Now for this batch, I'm going to ferment this in a strainer bag so that when it comes time to separate all the pulp and the skin and everything, it's going to be an easier job, I think, because I don't want to add any water just yet, and I don't want to leave the skins and everything for the entire ferment. But I do want to leave the skins long enough so that the natural pectic enzymes in the skins help to break down all the fruit pulp. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dump this in here. And I just want to let that kind of sit there like that. We'll see what we get. I really don't have any idea yet. Like I said, don't know what the specific gravity is going to be, don't have any kind of anticipation of what it might be. And what we're going to get is what we're going to get because we're not buying any because we're not buying anything from the store to do this. So it's been a couple hours now, and I think the natural enzymes in the grape skin have had time to work on this a bit. And I have decided that I'm going to ferment in this larger fermenter, an 8-gallon, because I think I may want to add some water. It is kind of thick, which is difficult for a still. So just in case I want to add some water, I'm going to put it in this larger fermenter. But I still think I'm going to leave it in the bag, just to make things a little bit easier, and I may change my mind on that. I did take a sample of the juice. I have a specific gravity reading right now of 1.038. So that's really not bad, and I'm not even sure, like it's already started fermenting, so I don't know. It was probably a point or two higher than that, maybe, not sure. And then maybe these natural pectic enzymes have a chance to release some more sugar, so it could even possibly climb beyond that. The thing that you have to think about when you're dealing with the natural things, the things that occur in nature, as opposed to the things that we create in a lab, like the pectic enzymes, we develop these things in the lab so that they're more efficient, quicker, all of that kind of thing. And so when you're dealing with the natural elements of those things, sometimes you have to give them a little more time. So we'll just see how it turns out. Like I said, this entire recipe is just playing it by ear. We'll just kind of see how things go and how they turn out. So I'm going to transfer this over. I'm going to let it sit overnight and just see what happens. I haven't added the yeast starter that I created. I'm just going to see if the yeast that was on these grapes that I froze, if it starts working. The reason I created that starter was because I had some of those grapes that were not frozen. I was worried about, putting them in the freezer and then making that natural yeast that was there unusable. I wasn't sure, but it looks like it's going to work anyway. But like I said, we'll see. I'm going to transfer this and let it sit overnight, and I'll be back. It's the next day, and our ferment is going. Now, it's going really slow. The ambient temperature in here is 72 degrees, so it's a little on the low side, but I can smell that the ferment is working. It has also pushed the water level up all the way on the bubbler, which tells me that carbon dioxide is pushing through. It'll bubble every now and then. And I'm going to leave it like this because I want it to ferment slowly in this case. The reason is twofold. One, because I'm using the natural yeast and the natural enzymes, I want to give it plenty of time to do its thing. And number two, I want to construct a press to press out the juice, because this yield is going to be on the light side. So I want to get every bit of that juice as I can. I don't have a press, so I'm going to build one, which will be hopefully the next video. And then part 2 of this video will come out, and that's distilling the juice into a brandy. And there we are. We transferred the bag of muscadines into the press. And then, pressed it down a little bit. Now the juice is flowing through. And I'll put a couple more blocks in. I can actually press a little more. Put the drill on the jack. Press it down a little more. And I'm just going to keep doing this little bits at a time until I get all the juice I can out of there and into that little 3-gallon PET carboy.